Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music, and it's Gizmo Sunday, but I've got no gizmo. I'm going to see if I can weave together Charles Ives and a certain feeling that I've been having recently. Well, first of all, do you know the composer, classical composer, Charles Ives? I-V-E-S. He's an American composer, and today, this Sunday, although you may not be seeing it today, is his 150th birthday. Ives is an outlier. New England composer who made his living as a insurance salesman, an innovator actually in the insurance field and financial markets types of things. He was kind of a New England blue blood in a way, and fiercely independent. The music that he wrote draws on the European classical tradition, but his sort of satirical, prickly, thorny, maybe somewhat difficult personality led him to a kind of a composition that was outside of the norms of the period and was in some ways very far ahead of what was to come. There are a few pieces that are as beautiful as anything. And for an introduction, something simple like the Unanswered Question, which is kind of a solo trumpet piece, or perhaps Central Park in the Dark, which is just gorgeous drone mystery piece, would be excellent to listen to. The Concord Sonata for piano, and there's a little violin in it, I think, too. It's kind of amazing. And then you've got the symphonies, and the Fourth Symphony is epic. You know, Ives was influenced by American marching band music and ragtime, and there was so much going on in his head, I think, all the time. He was probably a difficult person, but I'd love to have had the opportunity to have had dinner with him. You know what I mean? Well, when I think about Ives, I think about what was exciting to me about music when I was just beginning to study it seriously. I started to take composing, really seriously around that time because I felt like it was the best expression of, my thinking process. My teacher, Dr. Roland Wiggins, had an enormous influence on me around that. And I think the thing that I love the most about the ideas about composing and the stuff that Roland taught was the feeling that we had our individual responsibility to beat a path that was our own. Right? So Ives is a great example of someone who rather ferociously headed off in his own direction. And that's a pretty powerful idea, isn't it? Well, let's see if I can stitch the idea of that kind of musical practice together with my sort of Gizmo Sunday habit. I've been showing you guys effects and sample libraries, and they come my way. But right now, for whatever reason, when I try a sample library out, I don't feel very happy. And I think the reason I don't feel happy is because I'm very conscious of the expressive constraints of most libraries. And I guess it's because sample libraries are generally written and built to a purpose, right? And that purpose is essentially commercial. We are in a sort of a capitalist world here. And for professional composers, even a professional composer like myself, who's spent so much time in the theater world writing music for dance and a little bit of video, film, and TV, the exigencies of time, getting something done right away, of budget, I can't really afford to hire a string section, and of just imagination, mean that it's sometimes easier to reach for a library that does 50, 60, 70% of the work for me. While there was a period of time in my life when that was, what I needed to do, I think now in my semi-retired dotage, I'm a little less likely to be satisfied with a library that doesn't allow me a full range of expression. A full range of expression. If I'm constrained by a loop, like a beat, am I truly examining what I need to get done as a composing artist? For me, the answer right now is no, not really. The important questions for me as a composer and performer, as a sort of an improviser as well with my trio and, you know, by myself, are the important questions for me can't be answered by somebody else. Make good use of your time. Be yourself in a way that feels authentic, that feels engaging, that's truthful and also playful, that's communicative and expressive, but also perhaps peculiar and particular to your gifts and what you have to offer. How will you know what that stuff is? Well, you'll have to explore. And I'm gonna suggest this. I bet most of you play an instrument. Practice your instrument. Practice doing something that's difficult, that you can't do, but you sort of wish you could. See where that takes you. Add that to your bag of tricks. See where that takes you. So much of my channel is me talking to myself, guys, right? And you know that when I sit here on these steps and talk about music and talk about what it's like to be a composer and talk about music theory and how to use things, I'm essentially talking to myself. But I think the things that I need to hear, that I'm saying to myself right now, are things that a lot of musicians and composers need to hear as well. At least I believe that's true. So I hope this has been useful. Like and subscribe and ding the bell to be notified when I do my videos. I'll see you next time.